Hey, Joe.
No.
Joe.
No.
Joseph.
No.
Joe, we have to talk about it.
No.
Come on now, Joe.
No.
Warning: the following content may contain spoilers and complete nonsense. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, Joe.
Hello.
What are we talking about today, Joe?
Today we are talking about our nerdiest of nerdy things, or at least probably the second nerdiest thing now, because, Warhammer, I've discovered. Fantasy Warhammer. I'm not even going to fucking dive into that at all. The secondary thing, which is World of Warcraft.
Yep. And how long have you been playing World of Warcraft?
I have been playing World of Warcraft. So I dabbled when it first came out. I played a little bit. I got to probably level, I think it was like level 30, level 20. Yeah, no, level 30.
Okay.
Level 30 around with my Paladin. And then it kind of stopped because it was just, that was like at least 6 months of work.
Yeah, that was ridiculous early on. At least for me being, I was like 11 when the game came out.
Yeah, I was a youngin' too.
Yeah, and no, I started from vanilla too, but didn't really get into it until the end of Burning Crusade. And then really in Wrath of the Lich King, I remember riding my bike to GameStop just to pick it up.
Yeah, Wrath of the Lich King was actually my first midnight release. I remember the just in-game announcement trailer they released for it, and I just thought, God damn, that's dope. And I got it, and it was my first midnight release, and it was just, it was very interesting seeing other characters and talking to them, and they understood what they were talking about, and I got some tips and everything. But yeah, it wasn't until Wrath of the Lich King that I really got into it. That became, just a fucking lifelong hobby at that point.
Oh yeah, right. It's been a kind of an investment at this point.
Yeah. So, but before we go any further with that, what we're going to be talking about in this video is just all our experiences. So, I am not a pro player.
No, me either. Not even close.
Yeah. So we're just those common nerds, guys.
Yeah, we're just average.
Title insert there. Look at that. It's beautiful. But yeah, so I'm just gonna tell my experiences through what I've played, what I can remember, because I remember some of vanilla, and like I said, it wasn't until Wrath of the Lich King that came in. Mm-hmm. But at that point, had been a pretty regular player at that point, so I got something to say.
Yep.
Especially now, I've got something to say now.
Oh man!
If you saw something else, I got something to say. But anyways,
so yeah, vanilla. For me, I got probably around the same place, level 27. I was horde for most of my time, and I recreated characters probably a million times.
Right.
I have no clue how many characters I actually created, but one stuck with me. One that stuck with me through the whole game. My rogue. I don't like him. I still level him up. I don't like him.
You don't like what they've done to him?
Yeah, I just don't like what it's become. I mean, I get it. They changed it, but it's cool. I've done so much with them. I just keep leveling them just to have them. I played a Paladin. I played them all throughout there. They all get to like level 19 and be like, all right, it's getting too hard to level. Impatient 11-year-old. Let's refresh again. But it wasn't until towards the end of Burning Crusade, right before the Sunwell came out, is when I really got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really started playing it.
Did you do it? So you were there for the Shattering, or not the Shattering Isle, the Shattered Shore? Was that what it was called?
Shattered Shore. Which that one?
It's north of the Sun Elf. The Blood Elf territory.
Oh, the daily place there?
Yeah,
daily. I did all that. That was fun.
Yeah, I heard that was a good time. I heard good whispers around then. I had so for Burning Crusade, I had pretty much began a new character. Well, I'm going to start back with vanilla.
Yeah.
So with vanilla, I'm very, if for anyone who knows me, I'm very much I don't know if this is a good word. I'm a purist in the sense of, yeah. I started with a warrior. The very basic class for any beginner to start ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, this is fun and all, but I want some magic. Then I went to the Paladin.
There you go.
And it was my Paladin Artorias that I actually kept him leveled. I kept him throughout the entire time. But when Burning Crusade came out, I had heard more that the Horde was more of a popular player base.
Still is.
It is. And that's when I made, and of course Burning Crusade just came out. So I decided to make a Blood Elf.
Okay.
And he's a Paladin. And I actually love that area. I very much remember, what did I name him? Nistara? Nistana? I don't know. I keep forgetting which one. I got a fan fiction for him or something. But anyways, he I remember leveling him up because I just loved going through the story. That was kind of in a way because you got to see the aftermath of the Scourge and everything, and just doing that last mission at the end of that quest line and then getting that sword.
Yep, I remember.
It was the best sword you got at a level. It was because at the time,
ridiculously.
yeah, at the time, World of Warcraft wasn't the game it is today, where everything is more balanced or has a use for so long. Like at most, an item, or at least a basic done leveled item like that, or high level, I would say maybe, would last you what nowadays. Well, depending on the leveling system, only like 1-2 levels.
Yeah,
It's something that would get traded out pretty much immediately now. Back in the day, when you got gear, it actually meant something. And now I know this because all the gear I had was just the mishmash of fuck all anything plate that would just go on and says better stats than what I had before.
Oh, hold on. It was male at the time.
It was male at the time. And then, it was male at the time because
level 40.
Because until you got to level 40, it was when you got plate.
Yep.
And that was around the time I stopped playing him because, as for Burning Crusade, it was a little more of the same for me.
Yeah, exactly. It was just more of the same.
It was a nice change of pace. But it also felt like another thing that I was never going to get.
And I mean, I can only run Karazhan so many times. I mean, that's all we did. That's all the guild did. We never really did anything else. We tried Sunwell once, got maybe 4 or 5 bosses in, and then that was it. Everyone kind of just dispersed because we wiped once. So,
yeah.
The daily area was really cool. It was a good start to what they could be doing in the future and everything, and they overdid it at one point. We'll get there, but overall Burning Crusade, I got max level. I played a little bit, but Wrath of Lich King's where a lot of my time actually came in, and that's probably what your favorite one there.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely my favorite one. But before we dive into that pool, Burning Crusade, as I said, it is more of the same. However, there was some still nice things about it. Like, it was a nice change of environment. You did get the different, the characters, and they were actually able to switch it up a bit. The Draenei were shaman.
Yeah, that was.
And
they just gave one of each.
Yeah, they just gave one to each side. But again, that mixed it up. They gave you a reason to play They gave you a reason to play a Blood Elf if you were a Horde player who didn't want to play Alliance at all. If you were that purist, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Which in the days back of old, there was a lot of purists. There's a lot of purists today. They're just talking about other things. But yeah, it's not to say. But again, I didn't really go all the end game for it because, as I said, it was just a little more of the same, a little different, but still more of the same. You know what I mean?
They did introduce flying, which worst decision in my opinion. It kind of added a weird atmosphere to the game when people start demanding it instead of wanting to just see, the new world and everything. And oh boy, that's something you get to later too.
It's true. Well, now that you say that, I actually do appreciate flying because I am one of those players who actually do go out and view everything. And by getting to go flying, I'm able to go and see some more secret areas or like areas
Yeah,
I'm
that's
able to
true.
get on foot. So I do appreciate it. I do get what you're saying, and it sucks, especially throughout the future where
It's adding a lot of more design that they have to add into the game now. Instead of fake backdrop mountains, now they gotta complete the mountain. And...
yeah, I mean, well, with Burning Crusade, there were some, and with Blizzard, it's just began the trend of abandonment for some things. Case in point, Silver Moon and the Blood Elf area just there is walled off. It has been walled off since the release. Now, in the release, that made sense because they were experimenting and they didn't want anyone who didn't have the expansion to go into these new areas. So pretty much they're kind of like, I guess you could say, gigantic dungeons in a sense. Because you still have to go through those portals.
Yeah.
At least with what do you call it? Exodar has the excuse of being on an island.
Yeah.
And could you fly in Darnassus? I don't remember if you could fly in Darnassus.
Darnassus, the night elf place?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can fly there.
Could you?
Yep.
Okay.
You just couldn't fly in Exodar. You couldn't fly in the
Silver
Silver
Moon.
and
Which is a
probably
shame
never
because
will.
you probably never will because they will never go back to it. I mean,
they've got their hands full.
now maybe, possibly, who knows? Doubt it highly. Compared to the rest of the fucking shit show they gotta clean up. But, it's, like I said, it's a trend of abandonment that has began, that they do kind of consistent... I don't want to say have a consistency, but it does.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's I can't think of another word for it. So moving on now.
Wrath of the Lich King?
Wrath of the Lich King, which is my all-time favorite.
I loved Wrath of the Lich King. I loved the in development before they were talking about the dance studio and stuff.
And the Titan Path.
Titan Path, all this different stuff they're gonna do, and then they're like,
Oh yeah, all that announced
hold
shit.
on, never mind. They kind of, there you go, abandoned a lot of it.
Yeah, they did. But, I mean, the base of it was still the same. We haven't really mentioned the plot of anything, so just a quick recap. Vanilla, basically, 10, 15 years after the events of Warcraft 3.
Yeah, I guess.
Events happen. The Horde and Alliance are at higher tensions, but there are in-game events that happen on both sides of the world that require, obviously both sides to kind of go like, okay, I hate you, but I hate them more. Let's go fight them, and we'll go fight each other later in the alley.
Okay.
Vanilla.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sorry. I know and I'm sure there's more depth and all that. You could go ahead and read the Warcraft volumes. I got the first 3, and only the third one goes into the fucking events of Vanilla. But I'm just summing it up personally because again, I didn't max out all that much, and I didn't really get all in the plot.
Yeah, we didn't play it much, and we don't really. I mean, there wasn't much story to be had there. It was there, but it wasn't.
It was a new type of game, not for the faint of casual gaming.
I guess.
It was a new.
Anyways, Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Now, Burning Crusade.
We don't need to.
I know, just real
everything.
quick. And the beginning of Burning Crusade was the return of Illidan. There you go. There's Burning Crusade.
There you go.
Gotcha.
All right. Wrath
Seriously,
of the Lich
that's
King.
it. Now, Wrath of the Lich King. So, Wrath of the Lich King is pretty much a continuation of the events of Warcraft 3 even further, with more of the characters. My favorite character, Arthas, who became the Lich King. And now it was our time to go into Northrend, the game, the area that had been that we had played in, and go fight the Scourge, one of the bigger enemies.
And then you can sprinkle in other enemies in between to kind of keep the flavor different throughout. And it was an interesting expansion. It was fun. They had a lot to tweak out of the game to try to modernize it more, and they did throughout the patches in the game. It's where they introduced the Dungeon Finder tool, which really changed dungeons in the long run.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember how hard it was to get a group before that. Looking for a tank for 3 hours.
I mean, even then, for the most part, with the Dungeon Finder, if you were DPS, you were still waiting in line for a good.
I mean, it was 20, 30 minutes, but still, that wasn't bad.
That's still 20, 30 minutes out of the day.
It still wasn't bad compared to sitting hours in city waiting for a tank to show up.
Agreed, but I mean, I don't know if I should say it's a necessary change, but it was one that opened it up more and allowed more people to connect a little bit easier.
It made the dungeons a lot more accessible.
Yes, but one thing that I am not ignoring, but I know that we're kind of ignoring a little bit, was the introduction of the class, of the first hero class, another thing they abandoned pretty much, the Death Knight, and which became my class. I leveled up my paladin, my blood elf paladin to level 55, the level he needed to be, and then I immediately quit. Saw the shitty armor on him, and I just thought, thanks, buddy, time to move on. And I immediately tried the Death Knight. And I fell in love at first sight
they
with
were
that
overpowered
one.
when they came
They
in.
were overpowered. But everything I didn't want, I had a problem with Burning Crusade. What I liked I should say real quick, with Burning Crusade, what I did like was
back to Burning
I know,
Crusade,
just it's no. I know but it goes up to it. Was the introductions, because there was for your class for the Blood Elves and the Draenei, because it did feel more plot driven.
Yeah.
So, and the point I'm leading up to was that's what I wanted more in Wrath of the Lich King, and that's what I got with the Death Knight. The introduction area for the Death Knight is sick. You know what you're doing that whole time? You are literally serving the Lich King, and you are storming an area and taking it over for the Scourge. That is your leveling up.
That was pretty cool. It was pretty good.
Getting your actual just dope-ass Death Knight armor.
It was cool. It made you super overpowered, which was cool, and let you go out into which was the dumbest part of the whole thing is, hey, now you're done. Now go back to Burning Crusade. Yeah. Burning Crusade.
Yeah, that was
that was the worst part of the whole shebang there, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool.
It was, a little bit lore-wise, but for me, I had never fully experienced Burning Crusade content.
Yeah, it's true.
So that was a nice thing for me to still be able to do that. Lore-wise, it didn't make sense, but I was still on that high and kept that armor throughout the entirety of that fucking Burning Crusade run, pretty much. But, and then I did one raid. It was Zulamon. Back when it was the vanilla, or I don't want to say vanilla, but the original Zulamon. When it was a raid. And that was the only one of those raids I had ever done for that. And then finally, I'd gotten into Northrend. And then the journey of my Death Knight began. Because at that point, I was just invested. I was reading every quest dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
I was going to each area. I was making sure I did every side quest. And what was really cool about it for me, because even now, you could still go into some areas and caves or whatever, and you'll kill a certain amount of enemies, or you'll get to a point, and something all of a sudden will happen, like a portal will open, and who comes out? It's the fucking Lich King. What was cool about Wrath of Lich King was the moments, or at least for me, that I noticed. Whenever I would quest throughout, there would always be, for the most part, some area where the Scourge was prominent, and B, the Lich King would just show up and be like, oh, you're still here? Well, welcome. I still like these Scourge. Here's another problem. I'm still waiting. And he would just go.
Yep.
And it was like, it was cool, because that's kind of what I wanted more with Illidan. There was one, I think, quest where you saw Illidan's model, but I don't recall it now. But with this, even if you weren't questing or just exploring, it showed that this was the Lich King's domain. This is an area where he has eyes everywhere. You're here because he's letting you here.
Yep.
And that was fucking dope. Right. Even more for me, because I was the vengeful Death Knight who wanted my revenge.
Alright, anyways, on to Cataclysm, since you're eating up all the airtime there on your Wrath of the Lich King
I'm sorry, it's my favorite.
It is your favorite, that is true. Cataclysm. Big dragon attacks.
Yes. The dragon aspect of death. Deathwing.
Anyways, I like that one a lot just for social reasons. Had a lot of people I played with at that time. Story-wise and gameplay-wise, it wasn't there.
Oh, no.
Goblins were kind of cool. Their intro area, cool. Worgen and their intro area were cool. And then, the Worgen themselves, though, I didn't care for their models at first.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't care for them at all. And once they did the update for them, I liked them a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before then I was like, whatever.
See, now I was jealous of the Alliance because I saw what they were doing. They were just giving the Horde players their gnomes,
The little guys.
the little guys, and they were giving the Alliance their Halloween characters.
It was cool. But I like the goblins. The goblins were cool. I played them for a little
I
bit.
appreciate them now. Now that I know more about them and their story and everything, and I appreciate them. I got my Bognil character. I got my Bognil.
Oh jeez. But besides that, Firelands was the top raid there. The Deathwing raid was lazy
Dragon
at
Soul.
best. Dragon Soul, yeah.
Yeah.
It was lazy at best.
Or Hour of Twilight, I think it was called.
I think it was Dragon Soul.
Was it Dragon Soul?
Hour of Twilight, I think, was a dungeon. They did a lot of Cavern of Time stuff that they didn't need to do, and it just felt really lazy. And then they introduced Raid Finder, which was a disaster when they introduced it, but they have improved it since then. But
again, Cataclysm came at the time where I was so at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, I was in a guild and I was raiding with that guild, and we were doing Ice Crown Citadel. And pretty much I knew it from the back of my hand. At the time, it was my favorite raid. I just loved every bit of it. It was the best finale for that expansion for me. And we had still continued on a little bit, but the guild kind of fell apart at the point, or after. I shouldn't say after. We did a little bit of Dragon Soul, but we had did Firelands. And Firelands was great. Like, questing and everything, like, that patch was a really well-made patch.
Yeah,
the questing was really well done. My biggest problem with Cataclysm, for a character who wasn't going to level up a new character, which was kind of what that expansion was kind of aiming towards.
yeah,
Because it was a remodel of vanilla. They redid some of the areas so you could fly and everything.
hey, you had the cool underwater zone.
Yeah, sure.
I love that zone.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and maybe I have to replay it, but then I fucking hated that zone. I thought it was boring.
I loved it. You leveled up quick, got through it, and then by the time I was done with it, I was ready to go off to Oldham and get to skip a whole entire zone that I didn't like. I did not like the under.
Ironically, I actually liked Hijal more because they continued it with the Firelands.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that story more because I recognized some of those characters, because at that point I was getting more and more into the lore. Like, I knew who what was the wolf one called? The wolf spirit.
I don't remember. Ashmane? Is that one?
No. Drek.
Anyways,
Anyways,
Hydra was cool. The zones were kind of cool, but after
Oldham was boring.
Oldham was Indiana Jones.
Oldham was boring.
It was Indiana Jones. The entire plot of half of Oldham was Indiana Jones.
No, I'm sorry, not Oldham. I didn't mean Oldham. Deepholm was boring. My apologies.
Oh, yeah, no.
Deepholm was boring. Oldham was actually pretty decent because of the Indiana
in,
Jones.
The underwater place, because I got to skip Deepholm.
Well, of course, at that point I had to do it. Deepholm was boring. Oldham was fun in a corny way, but lore-wise, it had its purpose, especially for those who paid attention with, like, Ulduar and everything.
Yep. And then the Twilight Highlands was just another kind of...
The questing for that area didn't make sense
at all.
But I get it now, considering the character and what it was, but I still say it was stupid. It was another... How do I put this? It was the quest version... introduction-wise, to the gunship battle of Ice Crown Citadel.
Yeah.
Lore reasons, it shouldn't fucking exist.
Yeah, it was dumb.
But I understand it better in the quest, given
It
the
had
characters.
some interesting parts, like Grim Batal and the dragon aspect.
I did
of
like
that.
Grim Batal.
But
Grim Batal was a
besides-
decent dungeon.
Besides that, the raid was up there where you fight Cho'Gall, but that was an okay raid. It kind of was boring.
Yeah, that one.
I didn't like the raids for Cataclysm too much. I did Dragon Soul a lot. I did Firelands. Firelands was fun, but overall, Cataclysm was okay. It wasn't the favorite for me. I liked it a lot for social reasons, though. But after that, we moved on to Mist of Panda, and right when Mist of Panda started, the guild just gone. Everyone quit.
Yeah, I got you. So real quick before we move on to Mr. Pan, I'm just going to bring up these 2 points about Cataclysm. Remember, if you'll recall in the video, or the minutes prior, when I was gushing over Wrath of the Lich King, know how I was talking about how the Lich King was, there?
All right, we're on Cataclysm.
I know, but this is the point I'm getting to. How he would, tell you it was there. Now, this big world-ending dragon, lore-wise, he didn't do shit except in Twilight Highlands. He appeared in areas and spewed fire all over the place and instant killed you, and you got an achievement, which in Dragon Soul you would later get anyways because you fell off his back. And then Dragon Soul, you can tell they gave up on that one because you compare the trailers between Firelands and Dragon Soul. Which one feels more like a final product, and one feels like they needed to patch that shit together real quick?
Yeah, it was okay. It was.
And Dragon Soul?
Mr. Panda.
Yes.
Anyways, on to Mr. Panda.
Don't bug me. You didn't get that buzzer yet.
I'm gonna get a buzzer. You
better-
need a buzzer.
Well, then get the buzzer. Then otherwise, I'm gonna keep going.
Mr. Panda. They introduced both class and race.
Pandaria, Sean.
Pandaria, Panda. Mr. Panda Land.
You're a nerd, goddammit. Get this shit right.
It doesn't matter. It was Mr. Panda Land.
I realize we should have had my collector's
It was an
editions.
April Fool's joke at one point that came true, and you got the pandas, you got the monks, and you got some interesting zones. You got some zones that were really boring. You got some interesting raids, some. I can't say interesting dungeons really. That was the expansion where the dungeons just kind of took a huge nosedive.
It's not that they took a nosedive so much as they stopped completely with those dungeons. What dungeons you had in Mr. Pandaria were the dungeons you got throughout the entire fucking expansion.
Yep.
Say what you want about Dragon Soul and Cataclysm, but at the very least, that gave us 3 new dungeons to play with.
And then you had the 2 rehashes of Zolomel and Zolagrub come out as patch 2, which were 2 new
Yeah,
dungeons.
and that's true too. That
You
came out.
got Scalamance and Scarlet Monastery from Mr. Panda,
Yeah,
which
some.
didn't really make sense for the story much, anyways. And then, yeah, they just,
No, it was the Scarlet Crusade Hall.
yeah, Scarlet Monastery.
Oh, my bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. I didn't. They separated now.
Yeah,
into 2
well,
dungeons.
it was 4 dungeons before, and then they made it.
Yeah.
into 2.
Okay.
And then you got a bunch of dungeons that were just kind of themed around Pandaland, and the only one really worth a thing, at least in my opinion, was the Storm Stout Brewery. And this is because Chen is pretty dope.
Oh yeah, Chen Storm Stout is
I
one of my favorite characters.
Didn't care for the monastery one too much, and the dungeons just didn't do it. And then they abandoned them because, like you said,
It was another thing they were focusing more on other things, and so that was kind of the. I liked it more than Cataclysm, right? So
Yeah.
one of the things was they introduced the monk, which is now my second, or I guess technically my third favorite class to play.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was absolutely fun to
Monks
level
are
up a
pretty
monk.
fun.
They
I
were
like
super fun. They're super mobile. And being a tank player, Death Knight, especially in the days of old, we weren't mobile at all. We got our mounts, but we weren't all that physically mobile.
They're still not mobile.
They're still not. Well, we got our. At least now we've got 2 things that allow us to have a speed boost or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, but. Yeah, they weren't mobile at all. And playing a leather character, but playing a new character in general, which of course they were still overpowered, But it was just so much fun to level up. So one thing with Pandaria that I did like was the questing was a little more centered around you, or at least in the beginning of it. And then at some point that stopped.
Yeah.
Stopped in the base of it. And then in the patch they kind of continued it a little bit more.
I liked the patch with the quest line there, and then Anduin getting a nice Sparta kick to the chest into the Divine Bell and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah,
that was a good quest line. That was fun. And I enjoyed that patch a lot. And then Throne of Thunder I liked that one a lot too.
I like that one a lot too. That was one I never played, but as we said before, Dragon Soul was where they introduced LFR, where I like it in the point where for someone who was not putting that shit on silent, so as someone who was at that time, my guild had kind of disbanded and we weren't really doing any more raids at that point, and I was thinking, oh well, I'm not gonna be able to do this because at the time the system was really different.
Yep.
And I couldn't really flow with a lot of it. So LFR allowed me to experience not the entirety of the content, but at least some of it, so I could the basics, so you can at least see like what these events were and everything. And but I do get why people would say like this kind of the start of the downfall of it.
Yeah, and then Siege of Orgrimmar came out, and then you got your 2 raids in one. You got the first 4 bosses in one raid, basically, and then it's like, all right, let's walk through this portal. Now you're in Orgrimmar. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I guess we're here. Let's go fight the dragon on the coast. Why are we entering on this side? There's like 12 different entrances. Why are we choosing the front gate? I guess we're going through the front gate, guys.
Yeah, so ironically, with that one, the trailer for it was actually pretty well done and pretty well made and taken its time.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good final trailer for a final patch for everything that happened. And it was... It's funny because it felt like the one raid they threw in there, no new dungeons. Again, no. Nope. Why you need new dungeons?
No one needs new dungeons.
You don't need new dungeons, but you still need to do dailies, which make you do dungeons.
Oh, the dailies. Oh, the backlash.
You need to do the dailies.
They're just like, oh, remember how you had the 20 daily limits? Yeah, we're taking that away because we gave you 67 daily quests to do today. And we're just like, oh, hold on now. I'm like, you don't have to do them all today. I'm like, but we want to. You gave them to us. We want to.
Yeah, leveling up that shit in Panda.
Oh,
they
boy.
had a different system. So back to Wrath of the Lich King, one system they took out was the ability that if you had gotten their tabard, you had actually gotten extra experience and reputation from doing dungeons, and it was a reason to do dungeons. You know what I mean? So at the very least, yes, I was doing the same dungeons, but they did it through the patches at the very least, added dungeons. At that end game, I was doing the same amount of dungeons, but at the very least, I was earning something from it.
Yep, they did away with all that. They made the reputations, and then they had to introduce the thing that where once you get revered, you can make it to get you double reputation, and then people are like, all right, but man, that was not a good intro for like end game content there.
No, the raid, that was at that point, I don't even think I finished that raid because the LFR crew I was with on Garrosh never finished because we just couldn't get our shit together. One rule with LFR for those of the unknown gaming type is it is not the most cooperative group or coordinated group.
You usually get to full stacks of the buff before you finish the last boss these days.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Someone's shouting an obscenity.
But Mr. Panda, it felt like a low note. And we didn't think they could go any lower, did we?
Honestly, I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed the base of it. Like when it was in Pandaria and everything, it was actually pretty... I liked it. But then when it was kind of veering off of it a little bit, it felt a little off, especially with the Shah. The Shah was a very interesting enemy type that they had introduced.
Ignored
and it was like it was there, and then it was just kind of thrown away, which is a shame because they both did base something on the story with it, and they didn't.
And then they took the power of an old god and kind of...
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
lore-wise, it was interesting learning about them, but like, I felt like that should have been more of what it should have been based on. Like, we could have, yes, you could have said we could have fought the first 4, and then you could have told us there are like 5 more afterwards throughout patches.
So,
One being in the Thunder King's palace.
were they able to do worse than that though?
Oh yeah.
Oh, where are we going now, Joe?
Where are we going, Sean? We're
Oh.
going back in time, baby.
Time
Get in that goddamn DeLorean, Sean! We go back in time to Draenor before that planet got fucking nuked.
Yeah.
You excited?
Basic storyline: Garrosh bad. Garrosh escapes prison. Garrosh goes back in time to change all timeline. And yes, so begins Warlords of Draenor, which is started off as a interesting concept. I thought it was gonna do something.
I thought so too.
And then they just kind of killed off all the warlords in the first patch, except for like one.
So
two.
for one, yeah. So again, it was just it's our least. I can speak for both of us when I'm saying it was our least favorite expansion.
There was a lot of stuff promised that never came out, like garrisons and being able to change the building designs to
it introduced
racial buildings. And
it introduced a lot, and the I don't want to say the concept, but the
abandoned garrison.
God, the abandoned garrison. The build up for it was interesting, especially lore wise, because now we were going back in time to the events that we were only told about for these characters that we know, like Grom Hellscream, Gul'dan, Ner'zhul.
The first quest zones for both factions were actually pretty fun, so you're like, oh, this is going to be cool. And then you get to the second zone, you're like, oh. And then you get to the next zone, and you're just like, oh. And then you keep going, you're like, oh. This is where we're going. And then you start doing dungeons, and then they kill Ner'zhul in the dungeon, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, Ner'zhul, one of the first Lich King, killed in the dungeon.
Yep.
A warlord.
Yep, they...
Only one.
They off...
Only one.
And then the first raid, who do we off? Blade Fist.
Blade Fist. But at the very least, I'll defend this. At the very least, we got to fight him in a...
arena.
An arena.
That was cool.
So that was cool. I feel like we should have gotten at least a lot more questing with him.
Who else do we have Warlord raids? Blackhand. What patch do we take care of him in? Oh, that's right. First patch. There wasn't even a patch.
Blackhand?
Yeah, Blackhand was the first raid tier.
I mean, technically, not the first raid tier. It was the Ogre. What was the Ogre?
Ogre
one?
wasn't a first raid tier. That was the half tier.
Was that the half tier?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I just remember doing the Ogre raid first, and then
it was
that one wasn't released yet.
It's the equivalent for like Cataclysm doing what was it? Bastion of Twilight before.
The Bastion of Four Winds or whatever.
Yeah, doing those ones.
The one-off.
Yeah, the one-off.
Is that what? Oh, okay. That was a hell of a one-off.
It was a good one.
That was actually a good raid.
Because
it wasn't until we went into the Blackrock Caverns that the raid for that warlord sucked.
Yeah.
And here begins the second problem with this. This was a raid that A, we already knew was coming, and B, they just launched and said, hey, look at this major content we just released for you. Look at it. Isn't it great? It's brand new. You got a jukebox, and hey, you guys satisfied yet? It's like
a jukebox for the garrison. I forgot. Oh, don't forget. You're almost friend. We also got docks for our garrison.
We also got docks, but you also forgot, Sean. We had the introduction of selfie cams. Because if World of Warcraft
that's when they were trying to do Twitter, wasn't it?
Oh,
that's right. It's like they had a partnership with Twitter or something.
It was some dumb shit.
Oh boy, yeah, that was and then
that was showing off their new animation techniques where it's like, it's like,
and then they're just like, all right, screw it. This is a failure, and they abandoned the expansion. They released the final patch.
Yeah,
they
don't
even
released
do the patch that they had planned in the middle. They just final patch. Here we go. Let's get rid of it.
They straight up just abandoned the expansion. They admitted that they abandoned the expansion, and we got a final patch for an expansion that felt half baked.
Yep, and the final patch was more like a intro to the next expansion. I mean,
It really did, and boy, did it feel like a kick to the gut for those who buys and collects the collector's editions.
oh yeah, I didn't buy the next expansion when it first came out. I waited a little bit, and then people were saying it's actually really good. I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
I was going to be the same boat with you because I was feeling pissed off. But then I saw like what everything we were getting and like lore and just talking wise, I was like, "Oh shit, my paladin can get Ashbringer again." I was like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Remember it, but I was thinking that at the same time. Oh, we get to see all the warlords again, huh?
I get that, and that's why I was kind of feeling like a double-edged sword.
I was hoping to see more of Draenor, not just what we had in Outland. And we didn't even get to see where the Netherstorm would have been. Really, that was supposedly going to be the mid patch between the first and final.
Yeah, it was an expansion with a lot of potential. Like story wise, they could have had a lot of fun with it, and they fucking abandoned it.
So you can tell now
they abandoned it, and it was my least favorite expansion at the moment.
It was my least favorite at the moment. Reason being is because the current one is not done yet. So.
Yeah, but
Legion.
Now we'll talk about my second favorite expansion, Legion.
Demons come in spaceships, turns into a sci-fi fantasy. Yeah, it was great. I loved it.
It was great. Yeah, it was the Burning Legion. They were invading for the fourth time, something like that.
This time they came full force.
It was.
They watched some Star Trek and like, that is a great idea. And they came in with some spaceships and beaming down demons everywhere.
The fucking plot team was like, "Hey, we need to make this into a real war story." There was casualties. Like the beginning quest before we even got into the Broken Shore.
We lost Varian, we lost Tyrion, we lost Vol'jin. We lost a lot of people.
Vol'jin, who was made
beginning of the expansion.
Yeah, Vol'jin, who was made the war chief at the beginning of but at the end of Mists of Pandaria as well. Who lore? I don't know story wise if he did anything. Cataclysm. I don't even know if he did anything. He pretty much died in the next one.
He died in Legion.
He died in the beginning.
Died right away. Gave birth to War Chief Sylvanas.
Yep. Who? The beginning of the Sylvanas meal has begun.
But anyways, let's stay on Legion for a second.
Yeah, for a second. That's one
things.
of that.
Things that they had that they abandoned, but they abandoned in the right way this time. Like artifact weapons. They gave us a quest line to send them off, and then you still got to keep the models. You got to keep the looks. You got to transmog them, and you can still go earn most of them.
Yeah, and each of them, then you got your Covenant halls, which was another cool thing.
The class halls?
Yeah, the class halls. Or your Covenant,
Some classes got some really cool ones, and some classes got kind of gypped and were just like, hey, here is your basically previous class area you already had, like the Death Knights, and they got.
Oh yeah, Death Knights got a little gyp there. We got our fucking flying fortress that we had forever, and now it's just moved.
But at the same time,
they could have done a little something better.
They could have built you a new one.
Yeah, or we could have gotten
Naxxramas.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Naxxramas would have been a fucking perfect one.
Yep, but But
then, like, you got like the Paladins, who they got the
Light Hope Chapel.
Yeah, Light Hope Chapel. The underneath there, which I always liked lore-wise.
That one was actually cool. The Rogues got just a seedy underground near the sewers in Dalaran is really cool. Felt like a thieves' hideout.
Monks got to return to their first area that originally wasn't obtainable. You weren't able to go back after completing it through the first the Pandaren starting zone. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. I was like, this is really dope.
Cool ones, and then some got some really lame ones, and then they did the class mounts right after that, which some got some really cool ones, and then you got the priests with their Owl Griffin. You're like, oh, that's a weird looking thing.
Yeah, it was a little weird, and I know people don't like the horse mount for the paladin.
Yeah, it was just a rehash of the spell you already had, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah, a little bit, but
same with the warlock, even though it looked dope.
Yeah, but I mean, as a fan of someone who likes horse mounts, I like, especially for like the knightly aspect of a paladin. I appreciated it. I liked it, and obviously the Death Knight's got one of the best ones, being that fucking Bone Drake.
That was cool. I like that one. I like the.
I didn't like it at first until I realized it also changes its color depending on what aspect you're in. So you could get like a blood Bone Drake, a frozen Bone Drake,
cool. And they did that with a lot of them. They all changed color, and it was really actually cool. And then they did, they brought Kill Jaden back for a whole raid where you actually get to kill him in space, which was interesting.
Yeah, you killed him while we're warping through space.
And then the next patch comes out, and it's just, hey, let's invade the demon's planet. And I was like, okay. And they're like, we're not giving you one zone. Nope, we're giving you 3 zones, even though one's only used for the raid. But you still got 3 zones.
Yeah, you still got some new stuff. You were given another new dungeon.
Yeah.
Legion was one where... What was the new last dungeon before that?
It
was only the mythic ones. Yeah, it was the Tomb of Sargeras. You're right.
Sargeras one. You got the mythic of... Was that when Mythic Karazhan came out? Or was that...
Yeah, it was when Mythic Karazhan came out. They re-released Karazhan again.
And then the Seat of the
Triumvirate or something like that.
Whatever they were called.
Yeah, it was their sneak peek into Void Territory. Ooh.
It was an interesting dungeon. It was a one and done for me.
It was a one and done.
They didn't drop anything worthwhile. The loot was already just worse than what I already had from just the first intro quest into the zones and stuff.
One thing we're kind of glossing over a little bit is the return of Illidan from Burning Crusade, which fans were so happy, and he got such a cool ending, and he got a cool ending.
His little redemption.
His redemption, because you Illidan fans, you need that redemption story. It's cool when you guys get it. I
mean, to be fair, we did go and murder someone that didn't deserve to be murdered.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, well.
Now.
Well.
Anyways, moving.
Then we get to another bad one.
It was my second least favorite, and that one being the one that made the least amount of sense plot-wise. Remember back when I was saying the significance of this one being the resemblance of the Ice Crown Citadel airship battle between the Alliance and Horde? Yeah, they decided to turn an entire expansion around that. Now, if done right, this could have been interesting. They could have had some interesting twists and turns and ups and downs and everything. It had the potential, because we were also given...
There's no reason for the war.
There's no absolutely goddamn reason for the war.
Your planet's dying, and new resource. Let's make that a reason for war.
The planet's lifeblood.
You guys just stopped Satan of all people, and now we're gonna start warring. No, it didn't make sense at all.
Yeah, we were using the planet's lifeblood because Sylvanas, who became war chief at the end of... So, her character started kind of getting shoved down our throat in Legion, where there were some things that kind of didn't make sense and other things that didn't. The, what was that? Storm
Song Valley?
Yeah, Storm Song Valley, where she had her little quest bit, and there was a moment there where one character who legitimately hijacked a military fleet to go after another character and did not get charged.
Yeah.
With...
he's got some crimes he needs to answer for, too.
Yeah, I mean, I get why you're after it, but my man, if you watched both sides of what happened on the Broken Shore, there's actually a legitimate reason why she did what she did. Yeah. And y'all are assuming. And when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
The whole war starts, and then, they got some raids. The raids were sounding interesting, you got this blood god, and then you got the artificial old god and all that.
Yeah, the artificial old god was interesting. The only problem with it was there was absolutely no goddamn reason the Alliance should be over there.
No, none.
Like, you get a report on it and you get a quest on it, but legitimately plot-wise, y'all just discover that shit. Like it's just news, and where
Yeah, that was dumb.
it felt like the team was split off into two sections of it, because this is where they introduced the allied races, because Legion, they had kind of introduced some new people like the Light Forged
They
Draenei.
did that, and then they did entirely separate zones for Horde and Alliance, and it just felt like they really trying to drive that line in the middle. And
I know, it felt like they were trying to drive that line in the middle, but what actually happened was they were drunk, and they actually got 3/4 of it over in Zandalar, because that's where all the questing and the writing and everything went to, where it was much more singular.
Where was the main raid for that tier at, Joe? Oh, that's right. Zuldazar.
Zuldazar, yeah. And then over in the Alliance area, you had gotten some interesting areas, and then one area that could have been really well developed, it was a void-like type questing area. It ended halfway, and then you got some stupid shit Horde invasion that wasn't even voiced, and it was boring as fuck. And they had ended the Void one, and it's like I see where the writing went.
I couldn't say. I didn't play the Alliance at that point. But
That's one thing too, where I was like, I can't play one or the other without experiencing, because now that's where we're at a time where I can level up my Death Knight as well as my Paladin, who I have on both sides, so now I can experience both versions of the story.
But, so they kind of sidestep the war a little bit, bring Ashara back. She's been, kind of mentioned here and there. She disappears. She's now Octopus Naga, and she puts a hole in the ocean somehow where there's no water for whatever reason to come fight us.
What did she use?
Magic.
No, she used one of the artifacts. I guess the Naga stole from Dalaran.
Yeah, the Stone of Gilgamesh or whatever.
Yeah.
Magic.
It was magic, but
yeah.
They explained that. Anyways,
they explained it, but there's no reason she needed to do that. If she's a fish person, she could just assault us from the water.
There was a plan for it.
It was dumb.
It was actually kind of, well, I mean, that part was a little dumb.
If she's a fish person, she's like, I'm gonna drain all the water so they can come in, and I'm gonna try to trap them in here and stuff. And it's like, okay, now.
Well, I mean, she did. The whole point of her doing that was so that we could go to N'Zoth's chamber and unlock her.
That's fair.
That's what that last fight leads up to. It was a trap, and it was actually well done. I actually thought that raid was well done. The next one, Nyalotha, which should have been an entire new zone.
Did we get any new zones?
For that, no. We got a new daily thing.
World Quest in Pandaland?
A world quest in Pandaland and a world quest in Uldum, where it was boring. It was boring. It was these new cursed web armor things that were just stupid and overpowered and completely, and everyone didn't like them.
I didn't play this part. At this point, when I saw they weren't doing new zones, I was like, I got no point in playing right now.
Yeah, I didn't even play it till much later down the line.
But, remember this. This is a bad part for N'Zoth, too. N'Zoth basically gets the hammer done in the end of this, right? And they basically write off one of the biggest old god bad guys in a matter of
I didn't even remember that fucking N'Zoth had an end cinematic. And literally, I think all it is just him getting nuked.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yep. And he's done. He's dead. He's the first successfully killed old god. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, the old god that we've been hearing about since Cataclysm, essentially.
Yep.
Like, he was first, or at least for me, that I noticed, he was teased at in Cataclysm. Because in the Dragon Soul raid, you fight two of his minions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, okay, well, that's that third god that we don't know where he is. Because we knew where two of them were.
I could have seen him doing this to Cthulhu. I could have seen him nuking him, but N'Zoth, it was just like, really, guys?
Ironically, the second to last boss was a much better boss fight than the N'Zoth boss.
Who was the second to last boss?
I forget what his name was. It was like the Guardian of N'Zoth.
Oh, okay, cool.
He was he was fun. He was actually really fun.
But
yeah, N'Zoth, his last patch was just... I'll say this was right above Warlords of Draenor, because I actually had more shit to do.
Yeah. But anyways, let's get into the main part. Yes.
No, I don't.
No, we got to get into it.
Okay, now let's talk about the one with the most potential. Because, of course, there was kind of a trend, a little bit. So, or at least for me, that I noticed. where Wrath of the Lich King was the top of the top. And then Cataclysm kind of was like meh, it was a little whatever. Mists of Pandaria kind of brought it back up a little bit more for me. A little brought it back more to me. Warlords of Draenor, smack right back at the bottom. And then Legion shot my ass right back up. And then I got fucking Warlords of Battle for Azeroth. And again, it was just it wasn't so much a smack, but it was still going back. So again, you see that pattern though, where it was like So I'm thinking Shadowlands, this one that just is where Death Knight's the class that I leveled my entire throughout all these expansions from Wrath of Lich King. The one I use is my Death Knight. So help me God, he is the first one I will level up. And I use it, and the Shadowlands lore-wise is where they get their power. It is written in their goddamn book.
It was
This was the expansion where, lore-wise, Death Knight should have been as powerful as they were back in Wrath of the Lich King.
You got it out of your system now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm kidding.
And expansion had some interesting features. They added this covenant system. You choose one. That sounded cool until you realize you got some abilities attached onto it, and some of the classes were having trouble functioning without the ability of a specific covenant, and then story-wise, just didn't make sense for them, and they didn't want to do it, but still, it was just, and it would change every single.
And it ended up they doing what they always do when they say they do. This is that change. We're not changing it back. I don't care what you say. We're not changing it back. And at the end of the day, guess what? They changed it back. Yeah, so it was one of those things where another problem they would fall into was they were trying new things, except they were doing the same thing over and over again. Because we got another... I would say it started for me back in Warlords, where you got the MacGuffin, usually your legendary item, and you had the questing-wise, you had to get that MacGuffin all nice and powered up. And by the end of it, was it Mr. Pandaria?
The cape.
I never did the cape, so
The cape was the same thing.
So it was Mr. Pandaria.
They did the same thing. There was here's a new button for you to press in a different way, and it worked, but it didn't work. If it was all cosmetic based, that would have been cool. That would have been the way to do it. But they made it from what I hear, druids were supposed to choose Revendearth because that's the one to choose. Even though Night Fae is all about nature and all that shit. And it's hold on now.
Yeah, it was.
Death Knights in the beginning choose Bastion, the one that's basically paladins, and it's hold on now.
It didn't make sense because they introduced these ideas where it's a damage ability that changes the aspect of everything. And what they wanted to do was that you could choose any of these and it wouldn't change the gameplay. Now that idea is fine, except it failed horribly when you added a damage ability. When you add damage ability that each class gets differently for each different class, you completely screw up the mechanic.
Now, Joe, what about the raids?
Oh, the raids? Well, I can only talk about one of them.
Well, hold on. Let's talk about the dungeons first.
Yeah, let's talk about the dungeons a little.
How many did you do?
I think I did all of them on release.
I did 3 or 4.
Did you?
I got bored of them real
quick. Okay, so for Shadowlands, it began
out... I liked the one with Bonsomdi.
I think I only did that one once.
The other side, I liked that one. Nope, that was Battle for Azeroth, and I did that one way too many times. The stupid snake dungeon. I was just trying to get one specific item from there.
Yeah, that was another one that suffered from no new dungeons as well. Or at least, I think.
Hold on.
Was there anything that came out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I can't think of anything either, because there was the Battle for Dazar lore.
Wait, nope, yep, there was. There was the Mega Dungeon that came out. What was it?
The Mega Dungeon.
Was it the
Goblin? Oh, Gnome,
Gnomeregan Island,
Gnomeregan or Gnome.
Yes, the mechanical gnome dungeon.
Yeah, the mechanical gnome dungeon. Yeah, I'm sorry, the one that you could only play Mythic, and that if you were a casual, you weren't going to play.
I haven't done that one yet.
Yeah, I haven't done it either.
Might be something to do.
Another allied race they introduced.
I'm waiting. But, so Shadowlands, anyways, dungeon-wise, they had some okay ones, but overall was boring.
Yeah, I can't... Wow. For the most part, I usually remember most of the dungeons I play through. This is the first time, now that I think about it, these dungeons are very unmemorable.
I did like I said, 3 or 4, and all I'm remembering is the other side with Bonsami.
I remember the other side, but I remember some of these because I've done a couple of them, like the plague doctor or whatever the fuck.
Oh god, the plague one, I hated that one. That's
Yeah,
what I
that one
did.
sucked.
And they had the raids. I only did the castle.
I only did Castle Nathria. Now, Castle Nathria was actually, for the most part, pretty well done. I have one gripe with it. Why the hell are we, for Covenant-wise, because if you chose Revendreth, one of the people you get in Revendreth is Kael, Kael Thoss from Burning Crusade. And if you didn't do the raid and you continued down the plot tree, it pretty much skipped ahead and you got Kael Thoss, and it's like, why the fuck didn't we get this essential character through a quest?
Mm-hmm.
And nope, he's a dungeon, or he's a raid boss, which you could still set up because Firelands. Sorry, Firelands, that was your top point for setting shit like that up.
Mm-hmm. Though they did okay, you know, and then I watched video of the other raid with Sylvanas and all that, and it looked like just a long Torghast.
The first, well, there's the thing.
Oh, and then there's Torghast.
And then there's Torghast.
That's
yeah.
the farm fest.
And if you've noticed, we forgot about Warfronts in Battle for Azeroth. So did Blizzard.
Oh,
Anyways,
man, yeah. Fuck, I forgot about those. Oh, Island Expeditions.
Island Expeditions.
Oh god,
that's stupid shit. Time, go collect more Azerite. Another thing they abandoned.
Mists of Pandaria scenarios. The 3-person dungeons.
Oh yeah, the scenarios that they pretty much, they didn't abandon so much as they converted into just regular questing.
Yeah,
because that's what it was. It was just regular questing.
It's a long quest that you.
It was
do
like
with
these
3
little,
people.
yeah. It was their testing grounds for it.
Is there a way to force you into having a group?
Yeah. So for Shadowlands, for me, I went in because I went in the way that they intended because I'd never played my Blood Death Knight. Throughout all of my other times, I had done a little bit of Unholy, but for the most part, I am a Frost Death Knight through and through. Woo!
Yep.
But this time, I decided to try blood tanking because I had always heard good things about blood tanking and how immortal they are, and they are immortal, especially in this one. They are immortal. Holy shit, they are immortal.
And I wanted to actually try my rogue again. No, I don't like him still.
Yeah, but
I usually tank.
I actually had a decent time.
Yeah.
My tanking is okay. It's not top notch. I'd never done it, but I mean, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it with an easy class like a Death Knight.
Yeah, it's easy.
And it was pretty fun. I was actually quested through it, and I felt immortal quest wise. You know, like that. It was fun to play. Revendreth, I got my armor transmog. The beginning of it was good. It was very good. It was very good at the beginning because there was potential. And you know what else had potentials? It had potential.
Hold on.
I know.
I'm preparing myself.
I know.
Anyways, on to the next raid. What happened to him? What'd they do to him?
Fart cloud.
Yeah, they turned Arthas into a fart cloud.
They turned Arthas Menethil.
The technical term is Wisp, but no, he was a 35 anima item. They basically did the same thing that they did with Episode 8 of Star Wars and told you forget about everyone and everything you cared about it and fuck off.
They really did.
Because everyone was asking, where's
did.
Arthas? When is Arthas coming in? You're giving hints of Arthas. You're dropping the hints of Arthas. When's he coming? Shut the fuck up about Arthas. Here he is, and he's squashed. Now, there is that slight glimmer of hope that because the end raid cinematic has not been shown because there's still 3 bosses, that's being shown, I believe, tomorrow.
We're doing it.
There's that slight slimmer of hope that
you're
they're
gonna
going
have
show
to come over early to do that, right?
Yeah. We got that slimmer of hope that they might show him coming. I doubt it, though. I think that was them telling us to fuck off. I'm not a huge Arthas fan like you are, but I still feel the pain. And they just kind of took it and they just kind of said, and gone. Yeet.
Like, and it hurts for me because Arthas was the reason that I got into World of Warcraft, right? Like I said, Wrath of the Lich King was my favorite dungeon. the Lich King was my favorite character. I pretty much modeled my character around that shit. Legion, I got dual wield Frostmourne for fuck's sake.
He was the main character throughout Warcraft 3, pretty much. Even though you get to
and
play
a
as
whole
like, Thrawn
expansion
stuff,
added
still,
with it.
He was the main character through that. Even
With all these characters, because there's another common thing with Shadowlands that they did was they brought in all these different characters from Warcraft 3. We're having the nice Warcraft 3 reunion because we got Jaina, you got Uther, you got Vaz, you got Kael'thas, you got Vol'jin, Kel'Thuzon, Thrall, Draka. I mean, Draka didn't really count, but that was just another wasted thing. God damn, I'll talk about that in a second. But you know who they're kind of missing there? You know that character on the box? On the fucking box? You know, one of them, the human box, the blonde guy, you know, Jaina, the love of your life. But no, no. Now Sylvanas, plot-wise, has gone total crazy bitch mode.
But it's okay. She's being redeemed.
It's okay.
It wasn't her fault.
No, it wasn't her fault. It was never her fault.
Forced to do it.
Forced to do it. Mm-hmm. And at this fart cloud surrounded by people who are most important in his life.
Be gone and forgotten.
Who said that shit? Was it Jaina? The love of your life for since childhood for a bit.
You're reaching a little bit on the love of life thing there. But...
It was. Sorry, man. I read the book. Anyways, for Uther, you know the guy who is like a second father, who's pretty much whose fate right now, whose fault is fucking Uther's. Because guess what? You made Uther the fucking bad guy of this scenario. Mm-hmm. Was it Anduin? Anduin, who pretty much became the next Lich King for the most part. No, it was Sylvanas.
Nope.
The bitch who we've gotten so much shit, who we just crammed down our throat, who was the absolute last fucking person who should be talking about this. And what does she say? Be gone. Forgotten.
Hey, at least she didn't get her stupid closure.
Fuck you.
At least she didn't get her closure. At least she gets to fucking live with that bullshit. Anyways, like a recent announcement today, they are announcing the next expansion for World of Warcraft coming April 14th, which is weird to announce date, which I don't know, whatever. We're announcing an announced
date for the announcement of Warcraft.
But anyways, next expansion, forums are blown up. People are hoping that it's all been a dream and Azeroth is still alive.
Please.
And we've been trapped in one of his nightmares.
Can it be, please? Can we just... I will forgive you if you just write this off and just say it was all a bad dream. I will give you the money for the next collector's edition that you will no doubt increase the price on.
Yep.
I will pay it if you just tell me it's a dream. Please, because god damn you otherwise.
They're going to have to deliver some stuff, though, because first off, socially and politically, they are not okay right now.
Oh, no.
They have some shit going on.
They're getting sued out the Wambo.
Yeah.
Wambo number 5.
Besides that, I mean, the game Shadowlands, I get it, COVID happens. That's why we basically got another Warlords, but
I would have welcomed...
Okay. They also got rid of like half their staff, and you know this whole thing is just screwed up. Microsoft bought them. Let's hope they do some good work here because.
And the worst thing is, they can never do this expansion again. Like Warlords, they can't do it again.
Nope, this one's a one and done. Hopefully they can write it off, and we can get. Hopefully we can get some player housing that people have been asking for
ever.
When did this game come out?
Ever?
Yeah.
So forever?
Yeah, forever.
Forever, yeah.
This would be a good one, especially, we wake up from a dream or something. We gotta go into hiding, let everyone think we're dead. We get a hideout that gets to later transfer into a fucking house anywhere throughout the dang world, whatever. Maybe give us a new class. Everyone wants to tinker. I'm sorry. The engineer is already your tinker. Everyone gets to be a tinker.
But I want my gnome in a tank.
They got mounts.
That tanks.
They got mounts.
No, I want it to actually tank, though.
But no, I know.
Tank that tanks.
Everything they can do with a tinker, they've given you through mounts, professions, all that. I'm thinking more Dark Ranger. Yeah, I know the hatred for Sylvanas. I'm not letting her near those people. I would say Illyria, because she is Void. And what is happening? We gotta use Void against Void. Perfect. We can make Dark Rangers use Void against Void.
I think they're going to argue against her because she's already the leader of the Void Elves.
Yeah, stupid.
Technically, or whoever that one with the goatee is. I don't know.
He's supposed to be,
but he ain't going to, unless he used in a cutscene. He ain't important.
We could get Dark Rangers. It would make sense, and it could add another male class, a new range DPS.
Yeah, as someone who just
a healer, we can get it all in one class right there. And I mean, we haven't had a new range DPS in ever. We haven't had a new male class in ever, and male needs some love because their transmogs suck.
Yeah, so for someone who pretty much throughout the entirety of the Warcraft experience has been playing plate and a little bit of leather at the end there, boy oh boy, I just played a male character, with chainmail, and y'all got fucked.
Yeah.
Holy hell in a handbasket, y'all got fucked.
I played my hunter throughout Legion, and it was...
Your armors are hideous.
Yeah, it's bad.
Like, y'all are got some... I mean, maybe they look good on some, and I'm sure, but, like, no, y'all... a lot of that shit look bad.
Oh, it does. And that's why I'm hoping, Dark Ranger, bring it in. They could get some more armor sets going for them, at least. And do what they did for the Death Knights. And I know this is a little bit harder because there's a lot more expansions to do for the monks, the demon hunters, and the whatever else they're gonna add. But
I don't even know what they
add old armor sets to the old raids. They did that for the Death Knights on some of them. So
yeah, they could. It would be a good thing to collect again. But
and then they can
tier sets. Tier sets are the way of the future. That's how you balance it again.
Yeah, no more of this one plate set for everyone, this one mail set for everyone. No. Then you got people getting screwed because the shaman and the hunters are two completely different classes. They should have two completely different kinds of armor. It needs to be class themed. It needs to be class raid themed together, not one or the other. Just do them together.
Yeah, I mean,
and they did it. I'm not gonna lie, they knocked it out with this raid. A lot of the raid sets look pretty good, and it's all raid themed, and it is class themed.
Yeah,
and it looks good.
Here's the one point for the Death Knights in Shadowlands. Never mind that we should have been overpowered as fuck. Never mind Arthas becomes a fart cloud. At least I get some okay armor. Well, I'm not gonna say it's a good looking armor set that I will farm in 3 years when I can do this by myself. But right now, I have no goddamn... we'll see what happens tomorrow, maybe, or when they announce the last cinematic. But right now, I have no goddamn intentions of finishing this patch.
No.
Sorry.
I have a subscription right now, honestly. I've canceled it. I might maybe come back if I get bored of other games. I got too many games playing right now, but I do... Like, there is another plus that they're adding is that it's the stepping stones to finally getting this fucking cross-faction going. You got the system in place, guys. You got war mode to not change anything. Make it... Alliance and Horde, when not in war mode, can do stuff together. The dungeons, the raids, quests, they can do stuff together because they're not in war mode. It makes sense to end the stupid war. And then for the people that are PvP players that love that part of the game, that love the war... It can still be there with war mode.
Yeah,
war mode and nothing changes. It's the same thing, You don't team up with the other side, and then, oh no, that's gonna hurt us when we're trying to. Well, then turn off war mode when you're doing a dungeon real quick if it's really that big of a deal. Stop being a whiny baby about it. But yeah, there's a lot of backlash about the stepping stone that they took already. And, like it's ruining the core of the game. It's not. It's not. What it's doing is taking.
It's separating the PvP. Giving, for those, like, it's changing up the flavor for those of PvP who like to, and those who don't want anything to do with PvP cannot.
The stepping stone for connecting your split yet declining subscription base.
Yeah.
Let's not lie, the subscribers have been going down, and...
Oh, especially since...
They've really been dropping, but... it's a chance for them to at least unite them in a way where the PvP players can still play their PvP. You don't even have to change anything about it. Lore-wise, the war's over. We're teamed up, and PvE, you can work together.
Yeah, like you said, it's war games. And it's not like we haven't worked together before.
Oh, yeah. every single fucking expansion.
almost every single one, and they try to
shove the war
shoehorn that alliance
battle.
versus the airship battle, but it's just, and you could have done it well. Battle for Azeroth. That personally, it should have been N'Zoth planting like seeds in the alliance and Horde to cause a war. That would have made that entire. And then all of a sudden, there's a reason. There's a reason why, and all of a sudden, N'Zoth is a much bigger character.
He was useless. He was. Oh, we broke him out of jail, and we killed him while we broke him out of jail. Yep.
In an area that should be a zone.
They try to shoehorn the war into this too much to try to keep the PvP aspect alive.
I actually liked the Warfront. I thought it was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, it was cool, but
PvE wise, for someone who liked the PvE, it was fun. That it
was cool. It was interesting.
I don't understand why they never turned that into a PvP mode. Like, what the fuck? You had I felt like most of the work was already done.
Oh, and then they took stuff like Winter Grasp and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, we're turning them into battlegrounds." I'm like, dope! I loved Winter Grasp. No, it doesn't. It's not the same. It's terrible. The battlegrounds are unbalanced and stuff, and it's just let the factions unite. Let me play an alliance character with all my Horde friends because I would like to play a cool Tyrian Druid because they look cool.
Yeah,
but,
I'd like to play just. I love my Blood Elf Death Knight now because of how long I've had him, but the fucking sets look better on a human Death Knight, personally.
Yeah, that's because Blood Elf males have scoliosis.
Yep.
And even with the model update, they're like, we fixed it, and it's like, they might still have a little slight touch of scoliosis. Put back braces back on for a little bit, guys. But,
yeah, so the expansion is not officially over yet,
but it's probably going down in the worst.
It's probably going underneath Warlords.
I am expecting a Black Dragon race on the next expansion, which is a Black Dragon skin of all the existing races. It's just like, oh, I want to play a gnome. It's a Black Dragon.
The excited Joe would say he would love to see Galakron. But unfortunately, the excited Joe is not here right now. Please leave a message at
I
beep.
haven't seen many people mentioning Galakron. I have seen a lot of people mentioning Cro-Magnus. I can't say it.
Cro-Magnus?
Yeah.
I think that was a dog from Black.
No, not that one. Then it's a chromatic dragon, which is like all the colors.
I think that's Galakron.
Galakron was a proto-drake, I believe.
Yeah, he was a giant
this
necromancer
is
proto-drake.
This is a dragon that's a dragon, not a proto-drake dragon. A normal dragon that's like all the colors. A chromatic dragon.
Oh, the fucking thing we fought in Dragon Soul?
Yeah, something like that.
I don't give a shit about that.
Right?
No, give me Galakron.
Galakron.
Excited Joe wants. Unfortunately, he's not right here.
No, Galakron probably ain't coming either. Unless they shit the bed somehow. And...
Well, at this point, they very much shit the bed. Or at least for me. This whole expansion, I thought I was going to get, like, my Arthas, he was going to get his Illidan moment.
I love making my rogue a part of nature.
Yeah.
Night Fae all the way, buddy. Yeah, it made sense to me.
Yeah, I just wanted my Illidan moment, and I didn't get it. I got slapped.
Yeah.
Right now, I got slapped. Maybe this is all a joke, and we'll see.
I am 100% waiting to see what happens. All I know is I would like to go back to tanking in the next expansion.
You're more than welcome.
All
right, guys.
Done. Yeah, you made it through it.
Yeah, I made it through this depression. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys liked what you saw. We are trying new things. We got our reaction faction, which apparently is very popular, and it was something I did by myself, and you all got to see my depression on screen.
We might be getting another one tomorrow.
And right now we're going to be, definitely plan on doing more of those. And going to be trying out our hands on Elden Ring.
Oh boy.
You'll be soon seeing some gameplay on that.
Yep.
So, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us if you're a Warcraft fan. What was your favorite expansion? Why was it? What's your least? What do you think about Arthas being a fart cloud? tell us in the comment box below. Thank you, guys. Later.
Have a good night.